Hello and welcome to Weekly Fix. I'm Zane and this is Jacob, and we have a fun podcast for you guys today. It's been a while since we've done a review, and the show that we're going to be reviewing today has been out for some time now, but not too long. We got the spooky season coming right up, and we thought it might be a really good time to do a Marvel Zombies review. Now, I watched this when it first came out. Jacob actually just finished watching this. So we haven't got to talk about this even one iota. So I know Jacob kind of knows my overview feelings, but I have no clue what Jacob thinks about this. And I'm so excited to hear your thoughts, Jacob. But before I jump into your thoughts, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Been a nice weekend, fresh little weekend to kind of get refreshed. This was kind of our weekend vacation from our vacation because we got back from New York and New York Comic Con on Sunday and then had to head right back into work on Monday. So it was nice finally have a weekend to slow down a little bit, get some extra sleep and stuff like that. So feeling refreshed this Monday, and I'm excited to talk about Marvel Zombies. And I have a new vow for the podcast. A new one. New
Ooh.
one. Laying it hot and heavy right off the rip, right off the start of the podcast. So I know I've missed some Marvel projects. I didn't watch Ironheart. Didn't really want to. I'm sure there's been other stuff that I'm supposed to. We thought about watching and then I didn't watch it. But the new vow on the podcast is I will not miss another Marvel project. I will be ready for every review. By the time the show is over, I will be caught up and ready to go. So that's my new vow. We'll see how it plays out,
That's a big
but
vow. That's a
it's a
big
big one.
vow.
It's a big one. But I think
I,
it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
man, I like that it's coming right as they kind of slow down, which is good.
That's why. That's why I felt like it was a good time to make that announcement because there's not a bunch coming
Okay.
out. I can stay caught up with the releases that are currently coming out, and I'm not like jumping in when there's like 4 projects going on. So I think it's a good
All
time.
right. Yeah.
Easy
I'm all
easy
about it.
way to slide back into the groove of not missing stuff. But it should be fun to see if I actually keep up with that.
Okay. All right. I'm so excited to see
Yeah.
how this vow plays out. And we were talking about something else. We got something really special cooking for you guys on our 100th episode. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but just needless to say, I've got some homework to do. I think, Jacob, do you have some homework to do?
I think you've got a lot more homework to do than I do because
Okay.
you have watched a lot more movies than I have. So I think I definitely have some homework to do. But I gotta be honest, I was thinking about what our upcoming 100 episode special is gonna be. And I kind of have my bearings about me with
Okay.
what I think it's
Well,
gonna be. I'm not gonna give any spoilers yet. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I think the podcast people are gonna love it. It is quite the big task, though. I mean, we definitely put ourselves we're putting ourselves through it for this one. But I think for
yeah.
100 episodes, it's well deserving of it.
And for criticism. I think criticism could be galore uh for this one.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing. This is the only little spoiler I will give for our 100 episode special. Tron will not be mentioned in my 100 episode in our 100 episode special. So Peyton, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, man. It's not going to be talked about in the 100 episode special.
Or
But
or maybe it's good. 100 worst movies. May, you
yeah,
know,
it'll
if
make
it's
the
good
cut.
it won't be mentioned,
It'll make the cut at that if that's the case.
I did watch Tron. It's not 100 movies bad. I've seen
It's close.
significantly
It's
worse.
close. But
It's
no,
it's
I
it's
think the
decent.
100 episode special is going to be a lot of fun. I think the people are gonna enjoy it. I think the hard part for us is going to be can we keep it under an hour because
Yes.
it's gonna be a heck of an episode. But I think it'll be a lot of fun.
You know what's funny is I look back at some of our other previous podcasts, and we were like an hour 30 in, and like, we had some long ones. So
Oh yeah,
if this one goes over an hour, that's gonna be okay. And it might be deserving, and we'll see what everyone thinks of it.
maybe that's just us getting back to our roots at that point.
Yeah. Getting back to 100 in.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
speaking of getting back to it, let's get back to Marvel Zombies. Now, for those of you who have not had the chance to watch Marvel Zombies, I'm gonna just go ahead and say right off the rip, full spoilers. We're not going to do a non-spoiler review because you know what you're getting. It is Marvel Zombies. If you want to watch a zombie show that has superheroes in it, go watch it. If you don't want to watch it and you don't like animation, don't watch it. It's as easy as that. I don't think there's anything special about this show outside of what it is to draw outside audience. And there's no reason not to watch it if you like this type of content. So I think we should just jump right in the spoilers and really kind of just use our time wisely here. And Jacob, I want to hear what you thought. What did you think?
Yeah, so I'm fresh off of it. Like I finished it up this weekend. I finished the last episode right before we started this. It was a lot of fun. It did some of the things that I wanted it to do, but it also does leave you wanting a lot more, right? There's moments throughout the
Yes.
show where you're like, wow, that's really cool. Let's explore that a little bit. And it just feels like it moved a little too fast. I feel like we got too many places too quickly. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in between that I would have really liked to explore. We're already in the spoiler portion of the podcast, but I thought one of the most interesting parts of the show, second episode, is when they're, I think it's called God's Valley, where
Okay.
there's the gods zombies just duking it out, right? Like they can't kill each other, they're just fighting. I thought that's really cool. I love that aspect of the show, and I wish we would have spent some more time with it. I wish we
That
would have
was the
gotten some
first
more
episode.
insight. Oh, was it first episode?
Yeah, Icarus and
So
Captain
like
Marvel.
yeah, like I wanted to see more of that stuff. Like I feel like that was the fun of the show. Those moments, seeing like just these, raw power, right? Not no thinking going on. They're just hitting each other with the biggest blows that they got. That's the kind of stuff I wanted more of in the Marvel Zombies. And we get some of
Okay.
it. We definitely don't get, it's not lacking in that regard. But I just feel like there's some avenues they could have explored a little bit more. We get to Ohio really, really fast. I would have loved to have seen some stuff in between there. And just some things like that. Now, I'm not saying they needed to draw the show out, but I feel like there's just a few more scenes maybe we could have gotten. Maybe if this show was, it's 30 minutes an episode, maybe if it was 40 minutes an episode, we could have
Well,
gotten some of those clips and maybe some of those moments to make us care about the characters a little more than we ended up doing.
and like one of the episodes was only 18 minutes.
Mhm.
Episode 2 was 18 minutes long. So
Yeah.
we're not talking about a lot of content here. And I think that is one of the biggest things. I'm trying to look at the uh episode links here. Yeah, we had 18 minutes, 22 minutes. There's a lot on the table. They're trying to tell a lot of story, and to release a full season, supposedly of what this is, with 4 very short episodes, it seems lacking, but yet they told a bunch. And
Mhm.
so I think they could have either dialed it down and told a little bit more cohesive of a story, or given us more of what you're saying, with just the let's explore the world. Let's explore the world, and if you want to see cool moments, let's go see cool moments.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I felt about it.
And I feel like that's when the show really shined, right? When you're seeing these cool moments of characters you might not normally get to see. I think of in particular, when we get introduced to Shang-Chi in the episode and we see them running through the city and they see the Pym laboratory and we see the zombies like shooting up like they're growing. They're
Yeah.
becoming like those are the moments that I had the most fun with the show. Is those little like I don't really want to call them cameo moments because this is Marvel Zombies. It's not really a cameo type thing, but it's more so just connecting the things that we already know about Marvel and seeing how they get implemented into this world. Those were the parts that I was like, that's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that. Let's do more of that. And I wish they would have just, like you said, let's explore the world. Let's have some fun with this crazy concept rather than trying to tell a complete story. And it's funny saying that, we might not really want a complete story, but with a project like this, it's sometimes just more fun to just have fun with it rather than to try to tell a compelling story because at the end of the day, it is Marvel Zombies. It's not going to be one of those things that we're putting up for Oscar nominations, but it is one of those things that we could be like, that was a lot of fun. You should go and watch it. And I just feel like they left us, hanging a few times when they could have really done that.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. Now, I kind of want to dive into the story because they did give us a story. So, in what they were trying to give us, they gave us, we got Miss Marvel going on her adventure because this is her through line. She is the through line character. I wanted to get your upfront opinions. What did you think about her being the main character and her story being told throughout this?
I didn't really mind it. I know you were a little bit more on the fence about it than I was. But I kind of enjoyed, seeing her in this light. I feel like it kind of makes sense for a character like her to kind of be a focal point. She does have very strong powers. She would be one of those things that you're like, she would be very valuable in a zombie apocalypse scenario and stuff like that. So that part really didn't, lead me one way or the other, because with this show she definitely is the main character. She's definitely, the one that is the main, line throughout the entire show. But I think they did do a really good job of giving everyone else like moments to feel cool and important, right? Sure,
Okay.
she is the main character, but she doesn't have like an abundant amount more lines than, other people. Sure, she has some more, but it's not like overbearing in the fact that you're like, wow, this show is really pushing Kamala Khan. No, it's just she was what kind of the focal point of the show was. So I don't really have an opinion, bad or good about it. I don't really mind it at all. I thought it was just fine.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I found it. I wish she had more charm. I felt like she was missing the charm. Did you feel like she had the charm that she had in previous projects, or do you feel like she was also kind of maybe missing just a tiny bit of charm?
I feel like the charm for me honestly comes from not having the animation style that they went with. I've
Okay.
noticed a lot throughout watching it that I was like, I don't think their facial expressions are really matching the tone of their voice. I kept like
Okay.
noticing that multiple times. Like, it'd be like a sad scene, and they didn't really look sad. They just kind of looked like there, present. And I feel like that's part of where I noticed the lack of, charm for some of these characters, especially her in particular. It just never felt like, visually I was being shown the feelings she was having. I felt like I was always being told the feelings she was having. And I feel like
Okay.
with animation, that's kind of when you can really get creative with showing emotion. And I feel like that's kind of the part that was lacking for me as far as like her character is concerned and like the charm of her character. I did enjoy the animation. I thought it was cool for what the type of project that it was. I think they did a good job with all of that. I loved how the world looked and all those things, but that's where I felt like the animation was lacking the most, was when it comes to like just character, emotional representation. I just felt like that was lacking.
Yeah. I I totally get that. I didn't even think that, but now when I'm like kind of like replaying it in my head and kind of looking back at it, I can definitely see what you're saying. It's almost like they were so invested in what was cool about the show that they kind of forgot to put in the hardest work of capturing the human aspect
Mhm.
of the people that are playing these characters, and that they are people in this animated world.
For sure. And I just feel like those are probably the hardest part about animation, right? Is making it
Yeah,
feel
capturing
real.
it.
And I totally get why maybe that was, I don't want to say overlooked, but maybe that's just why it wasn't captured. Is maybe the type of animation they were going for, the feel of it, they just couldn't quite do it, because it is a lot of like, pale tones throughout the show.
Okay.
A face will be very, I like to think of it like Invincible, right? Let's talk about Invincible for a little bit when we talk about animation. When we get to the end of season 3 and we can see where the budget went for the animation, that's when you start to see the shadows on the face, you see the hair moving, you start to see those emotions a lot more. This show was what Invincible usually is when they aren't going all out on the animation, right?
Okay.
Face is one skin color. There's no shadows. You don't really see wrinkles, stuff like that. That's where I feel like is when the emotion is really shown. Is, when someone's mad, they scrunch their nose, and you can see a little bit of the wrinkles on their face. There's really none of that throughout this, and those are the parts of animation that can really capture you and get you to kind of feel what they're feeling. And this show just doesn't do that at all. And so that's where I feel like just that lack of that, it makes a huge difference. And I'm sure it costs a lot more money to spend time to get those close-ups and to do those shadows and to make those lines on the faces. And I feel like that's just not what they were wanting to go for, but I feel like it really would have benefited this show in some of those more, intense, meaningful moments between the characters.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think we definitely were focused on the emphasis on color gradient because they did like the power ups. Like one of the
Looked
good
great.
animation things, I thought they did great. Like that final battle with Hulk and Thor
Yeah.
and Scarlet Witch, like that thing looked good. I was
Mhm.
impressed. I just rewatched the final fight for a little bit to kind of prep because it has been a minute. I wanted to make sure it was a little fresh in my mind. But man, Hulk, he looks dope. And I think they
Yeah.
did a good job at making characters look dope. You know, you got Moon Knight aura farming the entire time, like just you know, oh man, he is awesome. Like
Yeah.
talking about one of your favorite Marvel characters, Moon Knight. You probably love that, right? Or did you miss like Mark Spector?
So this goes into where I feel like I really wish we could have explored a little bit more of these characters. They do talk about, I think Blade says, like, yeah, the previous deities of Moon Knight were taken by the virus. I want to see that. I want to see
Mm,
what happened. How did Mark Spector get bitten? What was the process there? Because then I feel like I'm like more invested in Blade as a character. I'm more curious as to like why is he this now? Like how did he get chosen by Khonshu? Those are
yeah.
the moments I really wanted to see. But just talking about cool characters, I mean, he's got cool written all over him.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think one of my favorite scenes of the entire show is in that final battle. Everyone's kind of having their moment, right? Everyone's taking on a bunch of zombies, and he pulls the sword up, and he like pulls it through his face, and as it's crossing his face, you see Conchu's face, and I was
Yes.
like, that's the animation where I was like,
They did a good
dang,
job with
that
him.
looks really cool. And that's where this show shines, right? The action scenes, the making characters look cool and feel powerful. They did a really great job of that. It's just in those slower paced moments is where I feel like they could have done a lot better. But I don't really, again, I don't think that's what they were wanting. I really think they were just wanting this to be, let's destroy some zombies, let's make it cool, and let's have a fun time. And they definitely captured that.
Now, did you pick up the voice of Blade? What else he does?
Oh, I didn't notice anything in particular.
So he does Titan in Invincible.
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I can hear it now. I literally can hear it now.
yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. He does a bunch of other voice acting, but I thought that was pretty cool when I looked it up. I was like, I wonder who this is because I think he did such a good job. Like not only did he look cool, but he sounded cool. Like he had a great voice for the character. So it was really cool to see Todd Williams pull that off again. And then when I was like, oh yeah, of course he's that guy. So that was pretty cool.
No, he did a great job. I think one thing also, speaking about, Blade being Moon Knight, which was really cool. What did you think about some of the other changes that we got? Obviously we have like Scott Lang as Doctor Strange. Like, I kind
Is
of
he Doctor
enjoyed,
Strange?
well, I don't know what they wanted him to be, but that's kind of what they were saying. He had the cape,
He
right?
had the
He had the
cape,
he had the
but that
cape.
was like it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't have a body. He couldn't be doing no.
Hey,
he's like using
you
his
know
eyes. He's like going cross-eyed.
the magic wielder with the little stub. He was like
Yeah.
he was like
Yep.
this. You
Yep.
don't have to have
Yeah.
hands to be good, baby. Uh, I wonder. It's all about the energy. No, I also was curious. One of the changes I was curious is like the Nova Corps. So one of the bigger changes is that Thanos got to Earth without the Nova Corps um, being destroyed. Because he does that in Infinity War. He destroys them
Mhm.
off screen, takes the Power Stone, and then leaves. And so he shows up in Marvel Zombies with the Power Stone, but Nova Corps fine. So I'm curious what that timeline's like. What happened in this world that this exists with this situation? And then how did he get bit by a zombie? like, like, so that was kind of my curiosity. Like, and I know you kind of have to like brain off and just enjoy it, but I am
Yeah.
kind of thinking through some of that stuff. Like, I wonder what all this is about.
Well, it goes back to what I've been saying. How hard would it have been a 5-minute clip, right, of showing how Thanos shows up, showing if he takes the Power Stone, showing how he gets bitten? those are the little moments I feel like really do elevate this show. Like they could have made a huge difference, made a big impact. And I feel
Now,
like
what if it
they
was
just
Captain Marvel? What if
yeah,
she
that's what
bit
I'm like
him?
yeah, there's a bunch of cool like brings me back to when they're in the Valley of the Gods. Like there's so much cool little stuff. Like how does Captain Marvel get bit, right? Like
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of that I kind of wish we would have got to see a little bit more of. Again, you mentioned it perfectly. Got to turn your brain off and just imagine what happened. But no, those are some things I think really would have elevated the show. Speaking on the Nova Corps, I love their inclusion in the show. I love how they're just, Earth's marked as like off limits. Nothing goes in, nothing comes out. I love that. I
yeah,
think that's a really cool addition. Um, I thought Thanos, in and of itself, he's one of my favorite villains, so it's easy for me to like him. But I loved how they were like, he's starting to learn. Like, he's
okay.
learning how to use the stones. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
like
those
he's
are
coming
little,
back.
yeah, like he's starting to figure, like, almost getting like the Scarlet Witch did. Like, she figured out how to control her brain again and how to, be herself again. I like those little moments. I feel like those were really cool little additions into the show. And so they do really like when they do take the time to show those couple of minutes of scenes. We see like when Thanos is literally fighting Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Doctor Strange slash Ant-Man, whatever we're gonna call him. Um, and they show literally it's one little clip where he's using the gauntlet to make a rock split in half and go back together. That's all it takes to be like, okay, he's learning how to. The zombie is learning, and
Yeah.
there's stuff. It makes a huge difference in the show, and I said it like 50 times now. But I just wish we would have got a few more of those moments with some of these characters because I think it would have elevated my score tremendously.
Okay. No, definitely. My score is pretty much rated completely on the fact that we got a coherent thought of a
Mhm.
show from start to end, and it was enjoyable. It looked pretty good. I was never watching it and being like, "Man, this is bad animation." I never was like, "This is the best animation I've seen." But there was times where I was like, "Oh man, that looks really, really good." So, like that's kind of where my rating falls. It's like this is not an impactful show at all.
No.
But it was fun. I had a fun
Yeah.
time with it, and so did my wife, which was a big deal for me.
What's funny too of all the projects, right? The Marvel Zombies one is the one that gets her interested. Man, I'm telling you, they had something here. Like they were cooking with something a little bit. It is fun. It's enjoyable to watch. Just imagine if they gave us that backstory to care about these characters a little more. Like it's all right there.
Yep.
So we've talked about it a little bit, and obviously we're still going to be reviewing the show, but this does end on a cliffhanger, which we'll get to. What if
Which
the
I
second
hate.
season? Well, what if the second season does get announced? Maybe they do eventually do it, and they do pull in a few of these thoughts, right? They give us a little bit more backstory, make us feel for the characters a little bit more. I think we could have a really impressive animation show on our hands.
I mean, it has potential. Like it has potential. I just wonder like how much the general audience will care. Like is it worth it? Or would you rather have something that ties into our current era? Like would you rather not have Marvel Zombies and just have a better, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man spinoff? Or like would you rather have maybe a Guardians of the Galaxy spinoff or something that like we care about a little bit more?
So for me, I think that is the beauty of these type of projects is they don't tie into anything and you can watch them in and of themselves and not really have to worry about watching what's next or watching what's before and all that stuff. So I kind of enjoy, especially in something like the MCU where they've gone so heavy into these multiverses and these timelines and stuff like that. I like when we do have just a completely different universe, completely different world, doesn't affect anything else. Let's just have a good show. I like
Okay.
that aspect of it. And so, me personally, I would like for them to invest that time into hopefully a season 2 of Marvel Zombies, right? I like that type of dynamic moving forward for this show rather than, I love your friendly neighborhood Spider Man. I think I gave it a 9 out of 10. I think the second season is going to be amazing, but I don't need necessarily another spin-off of it. I
Okay.
don't need to know about like whatever character in that. I really do like this idea of doing these little specials with a complete story like what we kind of did get, but just fleshed out a little bit more. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I personally would rather have a different story. I like this,
Mhm.
but like what we got with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I would be very, very happy to get with a regular Moon Knight or with a
Oh, yeah,
regular
yeah.
Blade. And, it doesn't have to be attached, just a good story. And then also, like, maybe don't make it TVMA. I don't know. Maybe make it something I can watch with my kids. That would really enhance it for me. And I like these projects because I do like to have the variation. Like, there does need to be some projects that need to have a little bit more mature um content, not just for the sake of being mature, but because the story's being told have to have it. So I
Mhm.
don't mind that, but I think I would like the variation more than redoing more of this.
Not to go on this tangent, we talk about the TVMA thing a lot, kind of, because most of the time it's never needed. I think the biggest thing for us with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that could totally have been a kid-friendly show,
Yep.
and we would have had no issues with cutting the stuff that made it TVMA. Because the stuff that made it TVMA was just unnecessary cursing for the most part. Like, I can't really think of anything else that really made it that, other
Scorpion
than,
got stabbed or
yeah,
stabbed
like a little bit
somebody.
of blood, like that type of stuff, right? What level, though, would you like to see these animated projects at? Like, do you have something in mind? Like, maybe Avatar The Last Airbender. Is that like the level
Yeah.
of rating you're looking
Yeah,
for? Or,
U7 is
okay,
essentially the TV rating I'm looking for.
okay.
It's it's completely acceptable, right? Like my
Hmm.
kids are still too young to watch The Last Airbender, but they won't
Yeah.
be. And the same thing with like Star Wars Rebels. Rebels is a Y7. It's a little too mature right now, a little bit too scary of themes for Charlie and Ezra to watch, but it's not that far off. We're
Hmm.
getting there. And so if I have to wait until they're teenagers to watch it, then I'm just going to watch all the other content that far exceeds this animation stuff
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like if they're 13 before they have to, or 18 before they can watch Marvel Zombies, dude, we're gonna go watch Rambo. Like, there's there's other content I would rather watch with them. Like, let's introduce them to like some actual good, like top class content. So like there's a reason we have the Y7 shows is so that they can introduce the storylines and can
Hmm.
have some of those fun concepts with characters. And then we introduce like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is going to traumatize them for like animal cruelty. So it's like
Yeah.
um that's just kind of my opinion on it. So I think a Y7 is a great place for these Marvel shows to stay.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. That was not like to argue why we need
Yeah.
TVMA animation, because I agree. Like, I don't feel like the zombie stuff makes sense for TVMA just because there's going to be
Yep.
all the gore, there's going to be the blood, sure, all that stuff. But we talk about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It could have so easily been a Y7 without. I don't feel like it
Yep.
really would have messed the story up or any of our ratings or like the way we enjoyed the show, because it didn't really I just didn't feel like it was that. So I agree with you on the TVMA thing. I would love if, maybe we got some of those animated projects. And to go back to that, I don't necessarily say like I would like a season 2 of Marvel Zombies because I did enjoy it enough to get a season 2. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, give us a single, now that we've gotten a little bit of what Blade could be in an animated project, this one would probably need to be TVMA,
Would
but
need, yeah.
it would be cool, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the stuff I would really like
Vampires.
to get.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
there's a lot of cool animated projects that they could be doing. I feel like we're just not getting right now. So yeah, I agree. I feel like
Yeah.
as long as it's not tied into the MCU, because I don't really want it to be. I like when these animated projects are their own thing. I'm all for as much of that as they can give us because I just love animated. I love animation projects and stuff like that. So yeah.
And I honestly don't even mind to give us an animation backstory of a character that is going to be tied in. That
Mhm.
doesn't really need to be seen, but like adds to the story. Like, and that's kind of how these shows should be done. It's like not like all Disney Plus shows. All Disney Plus shows should add context without ever taking away from the main story.
Mhm.
And so that I would like to see that more because then you're just building this beautiful thing that has, could be so special, but instead we're kind of just taking shots in the dark right now. It's kind of what it feels like. Even though this one was an enjoyable shot off in the left field, like
Yeah.
but but
Yeah, it is funny of all the what if episodes that we have gotten. The
this
one
is the
that
one.
this is the one that they wanted to run with, which it does make sense. Like there is a whole comic line dedicated to this story. Like they do have some source material. But
Yeah.
yeah, to your point, I think there's a lot of other what if episodes that would be fun to turn into a season, right? Like
Yes.
I didn't watch all of What If, but like the Captain Carter with the Hydra, I forget what the Iron Man Hydra thing was, what it was called.
Yeah, the
But
Hydra Buster or something.
that would be cool to get a season just based off like, that kind of timeline, right? Like that
Or
type of
like
stuff.
the Black Panther as Star-Lord.
Yeah, like those are the things that like hopefully maybe they're thinking about. I know this didn't, obviously blow the charts up with reviews and ratings and stuff,
Yeah.
but I think it did well
7.1.
enough.
I think it got a
Yeah.
7.1, which is
I think
really good. Yeah,
yeah,
7.1.
I think this did well enough to warrant having conversations about, these type of animated projects moving forward.
The only problem that I see with the rating is that only 16,000 people rated it, and I'm one of them. like,
So
like
15,999 other people.
yes, yes. And I know that's just IMDb users, and not
Mhm.
everyone that watches the show has an IMDb, and not everyone that has an IMDb reviews everything they watch. Like, I get all of that. This is not indication of the ratings. But when pretty much every Marvel show gets, 150,000 reviews, and then this thing gets nothing, essentially, like 15K is nothing, that's kind of crazy. I'm actually
Yeah,
curious what Spider-Man got.
I would be curious too because I feel like they're very. It has the Spider-Man name, so that's going to help it. But they're comparable projects, in and of themselves, with the type of animation and what they were going for.
What was it called? I am
Your
totally.
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I typed in Spider-Man and completely blanked.
Who knows what that's bringing up? Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many.
Yeah.
I started seeing them and I was like, "What's this one
Which
called?
one am I looking for?
Your friendly faraway home?" No.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it only had 17,000. So
Okay.
I don't know.
About on par. And we do know that's getting a second season. What
For
did
sure.
X-Men 97 have?
Ooh, good.
Because I feel
good
like
check.
that has been the most well received out of all the animated projects.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't my favorite.
49,000.
Okay, so maybe that's their standard, moving forward. Even though Spider-Man is getting a second season, it's Spider-Man. Kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, with zombies only getting, what'd you say, 16,000?
15,999.
15,999. Yeah, it's gonna be tough sledding for them to get a second season.
And it doesn't really need one. Like,
I want a second season.
okay.
I want a second season.
How do you feel? I feel like Wanda should have fixed the world if she was getting her brain usage back instead of whatever she did, which we really don't quite know what she did.
I love
How
it.
do you? What do you think?
I love it. I thought
You
it was
love
very
it.
cool. I do. I'm a sucker for a good cliffhanger, and
Okay.
I thought this was a good cliffhanger. I don't like good cliffhangers when we don't know we're getting a second season, which is where we're
Okay.
at with this one.
That's fair.
Yes. But I liked it because Scarlet Witch, she is not a hero. She is as far from, ever doing the right thing as I feel like she really should be. So I kind of like this interpretation of her just
Okay.
kind of wanting to rule, essentially. That's kind of what it feels like. She just wants everyone under her control. And so I liked it. I loved the representation of Kamala Khan thinking she had, everything had gotten fixed. Wanda actually did create the world back to what it used to be. And then we get those little, I don't want to call them flashbacks because I don't think they're flashbacks, but those scenes where Riri is talking to her and she's like, hey, this is not real. Like, come back to your senses. I love that.
Where is Riri at? How is she talking to her in this situation?
Well, she does say in that scene, she says, I hacked the signal. Whatever that means, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do like that she does when she gets bit, she does use that little device on her arm. She's like, "This isn't how I wanted to test this," but it kind of is fitting for her to be a character that could figure out how to survive a bite. Maybe she's made something that cauterizes
Okay.
the wound quick enough that the blood. Like, I like that aspect of it, but it goes back to what I've been complaining about the entire show. Why don't we get some more of those scenes, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we get some more of that context? And again, if this show was made with a second season in mind, hopefully that's actually something that does come to fruition, because I think it's going to make this first season a whole lot better if we get a second season. That maybe we do get some of these flashback scenes. Maybe we do get to see what happened to Riri, because I'm always one of those people. I think this is the Walking Dead effect in me. If you don't see them die, they're not dead.
That's right.
And we don't see Riri actually die. We see
Okay.
Kate Bishop get absolutely wrecked, but we don't see Riri die.
Are you sure?
So,
You sure Kate's dead?
she's gone, dude. I saw
Okay.
that skeleton in 4K H, like everything.
Kind of like Blade.
So that's another thing I do want to bring up. I'm interested to see if, for the Moon Knight character, if Blade did die right there, Khonshu's just going to transfer his deity to another being. I wonder who that's going to be, right? Like, there's so much fun stuff you can do. This is why Moon Knight's such a cool character, right? But no, I think there's a lot of cool things they could tie in with the second season. And for me, that makes me enjoy the ending that we got. If we are getting a second season, I'll really have been happy with this. But I guess we'll probably find out pretty soon if we're getting a second season or not, because usually they leak when these things are dead in the water or they're getting greenlit.
Yeah, you have to know. You have to know. The time to produce this thing was so long. I don't know. I don't know if they'll get it. But okay, so you like the cliffhanger. That's surprising.
I did.
That's surprising to
I
me.
did. I'm assuming you did not.
I'm a big cliffhanger on episode 7 out of 8.
Okay.
On episode 8, I don't want a cliffhanger. I'm good with like a little tease of like unsureness, but a flat out cliffhanger, no. Like, not cool. There is a little bit of okayness with it if we know for sure that we will get a resolution and it's coming soon. But if you're going to make me wait 3 years for the resolution of a cliffhanger, guess what? I don't care anymore. So it loses its power. It's like you told me an incomplete story and then you made me wait for something that was so long I don't even care anymore. Like, imagine if after The Walking Dead and Negan swings his bat on top of Abraham's head and we didn't see that for 3 years. Like, no one would talk about it, but we knew it was coming in like 4 months. So like that was like the talk of everything. And I still think it was a little dirty, like even there. Like it would have been a better cliffhanger is to show Abraham and then cliffhang Glenn. That would have been a better cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about Walking Dead. We're talking about zombies.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you are talking to a Stranger Things fan here too, so I'm kind of used to this whole torture of being on hiatus for years and years and years. So maybe I'm a little bit numb to bad cliffhangers.
I'm numb to the Stranger Things, man.
Yeah.
The love I had for Stranger Things is kind of like dwindled. Like,
oh, I know. As soon as that season drops and I click on that first episode and I'm sitting back in my chair and you hear that theme song, I'll be locked back in. So
yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of how I am with really all cliffhangers, right? Like this Marvel Zombies
Okay.
one. If it does take 3 years to get, as long as we eventually get it, usually it is frustrating, but I'm usually okay with waiting. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, dude, I'm glad you liked it. Do you are you ready to give your rating?
Oh, man, I've gone back and forth with my rating on this one because there is so much things that I do like about it, and I think there is so much potential for this project.
Okay.
But I think I've got my rating. I'll go ahead and I'll start us off here.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I think there is so much potential for this to have gotten a really good 8 for me. If we get those couple of extra scenes where we get a little more backstory, we get told a little bit more about these characters, you make me feel a little bit more for them because this is kind of a sad show, right? Like, we start
Yeah,
off the show,
pretty much everyone
Kamala Khan's
dies.
got these, yeah, she's got these two really good friends in Kate and Riri Williams, and they just die, right? And then she starts to become really friendly with, Red Guardian and Yelena, and then they're dead too. And then finally she starts to have a moment with Shang-Chi. He perks her up, he gets that fire lit inside of her. He's one of the last deaths we see, right? So
Yep.
there's just so much there that I'm like, they could have made me feel so much harder in those moments if they gave us those little scenes more than they did. And just for those reasons, it makes it a 7 for me. Again, I think this could have gotten 8, but the reason it keeps that strong 7 is because of all the things we've mentioned. We have great action. We have some really cool characters, right? We haven't talked about the Hulk really, but the Infinity Hulk,
Oh,
like when he's just launching
murking
zombies,
people.
yeah,
And
that's
then
awesome.
he takes out zombie Thor.
Yeah, that's awesome, right?
That's
Like
awesome.
he punches him up in the air, and then while he's in the air, he slams him back down onto the ground. Like
And then curb
all that
stomps
stuff
him.
is, yeah, it's really really cool. So those are the things that I think this show did really well, and that's what they were going for. But again, this show could have been like, hey, you have to watch this show not because it's awesome and has these cool scenes, but because it has a really compelling story. And I wish they would have just acknowledged that a little bit more than they did.
Yeah, I am with you. I'm right there at a 7. I don't think this was as close to an 8 for me as it was for you, but
Hmm.
I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Hmm.
this show. I would happily rewatch scenes of it. I would happily watch a second season. And that's just kind of like where a 7 stands for me. I was happy and I wouldn't necessarily turn it off if it came back on its own. I'm not gonna seek it out to watch it again, but I'm
Hmm.
definitely wouldn't hate it if I happen to stumble across it.
Yeah, it's done enough for me that I think I'm probably gonna pick up the Marvel Zombies, compendium or the trade
Oh,
paperbacks or something like that,
okay.
and read through them because I'm a big zombie fan, and so when you combine that with like Marvel, it's like a match made in heaven, and so that's why I think I enjoyed the show to
Yeah.
the level that I did, almost wanting to give it an 8, but just feel like it was just lacking a little bit. And I'm hoping the comic does that for me a little bit more. Maybe we do get some of those scenes because a comic's so much different, right? One
Yeah.
page of a comic can be 15 minutes of a TV show because you can look at the picture, you can read the writing, feel the emotion a little bit more. So I'm hoping the comic does that a little bit more for me, and maybe it'll help me appreciate the show a little bit more too. Because I don't believe that the show follows the comic. I think it takes inspiration from it, but I don't think it actually
Okay.
follows the same storyline.
Which would
So I
make
think that'll
sense.
be fun. Yeah, I think that'll be fun to see. But yeah, so it did enough to sell me a comic book. I don't think that was their point, but they,
Yeah, but it
they
did
maybe
it.
did that for the one person that would do that.
That's cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But man, yeah. Well, hey, here's to a second season, right?
I hope so. I really do. And that's not just me saying that just because I think you even said you would watch a second
Yeah,
season.
I'd watch the
I,
second
th- I think
season.
it I think it did enough to deserve that. Yeah, so I agree. If we can start that petition here on the Weekly Fix, give Marvel Zombies a season 2, I'll take it.
Yeah. And hey, we agreed. We agreed on a show,
We did.
a weekly fix 7. Imagine that. That's crazy.
Doesn't happen very often.
No, no, no. But when it does, it's always a special time.
It's
No.
magical. It's
All
magical.
right.
I can feel the butterflies inside of me right now.
All right, guys. Well, that is our Marvel Zombies review. Jacob, any last words?
No, I think you touched on it. If you like Marvel and you like zombies, watch it. If you don't, don't. I think that
Yep.
that about sums it up.
That sums it up. If you like it, watch it. If you don't.
Yep.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right.
Yep.
With
I think you
that,
did say it.
and that's why. With that,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you guys so much for tuning in the Weekly Fix. We love doing this. We hope you enjoy it. So if you do, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll catch you next week in Weekly Fix.